as it should be. Like,
Right.
that sounds horrible, but literally, like, how many examples, how many spiritual fractals can we look through the Bible and see where that government, like, you can trust these people if you want to, but I'm gonna tell you, here's exactly what's gonna happen if you do. On the flip side, here's what'll happen if you'll trust me. Like, I've always had this struggle of, okay, the way my life started, I started off in a church, right? I was
Hmm.
raised in a Baptist setting all my life,
Oh wow.
right? And so I just did what I was told all the time. The coach said do this, my teacher said do this, mom said do that. Like, I was just that guy, right? Because I thought,
Yeah.
oh, for me, it was like, I can see it in my son now. He is so mathematical, right? He's definitely got an engineer's brain because him is just everything is matter of fact, and this has to make sense, or I'm not gonna do it. I'm just not gonna do it, right?
Hmm.
I was the
Right.
same way, but for me, my own formula worked so well for so long that I thought it was God. I really did. And like, so I had one giant situation. I earned a scholarship to Vanderbilt University, right?
Hmm.
Full athletic scholarship. And I got there, and the first time I had a real injury that took me away from football. The thing I didn't really care about, in my mind, I was using football to become a doctor or
Right. Right.
an engineer, right? And it wasn't until it was taken away that I thought, oh man, I really love this thing, right? And I
Hmm.
was very pig-headed about it, and I didn't realize that I had slipped into a state of depression,
Yep.
right? No one knew. So when I got sent home because my grades were bad, I like people were telling me exactly what happened. Oh, see, Mr. Goody Two Shoes, never do no wrong. Still, don't drink, don't smoke, don't curse, still a virgin. Got out
Yeah.
there and lost your mind, didn't you? I knew it was gonna happen. It just blew my mind as an
So
18
they
year old.
spoke that on. So they've been speaking that on you for longer than you thought. You know what I'm
No,
saying? Like,
here's the thing. I knew the behind the scenes, right?
right.
I knew that I literally got injured, and that isolation. Like, if any athlete is out there, they'll tell you being injured is basically solitary confinement,
Yeah.
right? So I
Right.
literally, like, I didn't know what was wrong. I just felt really really sad. I didn't
Yeah.
feel motivated to eat. I lost all kinds of weight, right? I wasn't social at all, right?
Wow.
I didn't. So when I came home, I'm sitting here like in a daze, like I don't even understand what happened to me.
Right.
I'm
And
18
then
years old. I got
wow.
injured. I faked my way through, rehab and practice or whatever, and then I go back to my dorm room, covers over my head, and I'll just try to sleep. I was sleeping like 1 to 2 hours a day until it was time to go to practice. Then I went to practice because I knew if I didn't go to practice, like some part of me knew if I didn't go to practice, they would come looking for me.
Oh
If I didn't
wow.
show up for the football part,
Right.
I didn't show up for the class part. No one said anything, right?
Nothing.
Next thing you know,
Wow.
I'm ineligible, sent back home. And then I come home to all these people who were wishing me well, and oh man, Vanderbilt University, SEC, you're gonna play against Tennessee and Georgia and Alabama. What an opportunity! Soon as I came home with that, everyone was like, "Yeah, I knew it was gonna happen."
Yeah, because that's what they
First
really
off,
thought.
why didn't you tell me?
Yeah,
Right?
because they that's what they really thought. And I think that's the sad part is that we don't
Yeah.
understand the power of words. So like even in our prayers, we need
Hmm.
to be praying against people word cursing us from our own
Yeah.
family. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
ooh,
But check this out. So the next level of that is, here I am. I've been going about what I thought was the Lord's work for 18 years. And he's
wow,
provided me everything that I could have asked for. Like, we were poor and everything, but I never felt it.
hmm,
People were very accepting of me no matter where I went. Big
right,
old bubbly personality, like everybody, like from the gangsters to the nerds, and we're
yeah,
over here trying to figure out fractals, right?
right, right.
So, like, no matter where I went. So that was the deal. That was the contract that I thought I had set up with God. As soon as that was broken, like, I did everything I was supposed to, and this is how I'm treated. Oh, I went the opposite direction.
So you did that,
There wasn't
yeah.
a drug, there wasn't a woman, there wasn't an alcoholic beverage that I wasn't willing to try after that. Because at that point, it's like, oh, okay, so none of that. I found out that none of those rules work. So let me just do everything, right? And I
Right.
found myself in the worst place. And it wasn't until my family and my close friends were like, hey, this is not you. I don't know what's going on, but we need to figure it out. That's when I was like, I kind of did the Jamie thing, right? Way back then. I said, all right, let me get rid of everything. No more
Yeah.
car. I got rid of most of my clothes. I hit my buddy up outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And he did what he always has done, which is be supportive. I said, man, I need to just get out of here, Like, can I stay with you? He was like, yeah, come on. That was it. That was the whole of the conversation. No
That's all you need
questions,
to
no
know.
judgment, no stipulations. Yeah, come on. Right? That right there, Jamie, was my first taste of what Christ was like.
The
I don't
love.
care where you're at. I don't care how dirty you are, how bad off
Right.
you think you are. Just come. Try me, it says. Right?
And
So I
taste.
went
The
out there.
Lord is good. Listen and taste.
Come on, man. I got me a blow up mattress. And all I did was work out, and get into my Bible. Lots of fasting, lots of prayer. I had a girlfriend at the time. I told her, I was like, look, based on my readings, I'm led to be celibate. And I got to give it up, you know? And so what's she supposed to think? She's back in Little Columbia, Tennessee. I'm 15 minutes outside of Atlanta. Oh, you moved to 15 minutes outside of Atlanta, Marietta, Georgia. Shout out to them.
Mhm.
And now all of a sudden you want to be celibate? Like, you don't want to have sex with me anymore? So she broke up with me in the text message. I was devastated.
Yeah, she
'Cause we
thought
were- yeah.
thought that you were yeah. And that's
You're
fine.
in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
I know why you all of a sudden, like, I'm not good enough. Little girl from Columbia, Tennessee. I know why I'm not good enough.
Mhm.
I understand what's happening. I'm cutting you out. You're done. You're not breaking up with me. I'm breaking up with you.
Right. Because it's gonna
Yeah.
happen. It's gonna happen regardless, right?
Yep. And then fast forward, it led me. I made my own plans. Right. It's
Mhm.
that old saying, "Man plans and God laughs." I literally hit up my people in Australia. His father has a chain of businesses. He was going to set me up in my own place. I had a job lined up. I was going to finish my education. I was out. I was like, I am done with the United States of America.
Sounds like me. Sounds like I was.
And then literally found myself in a quiet, blubbering, crying, snot out my nose moment where I had to really ask what I wanted. And I said to the voice that asked me that I want a wife and kids. And he literally turned me 180 degrees, and I ended up reconnecting with with my now wife, Asha, right?
Mhm.
And it led me to Albuquerque, New Mexico, Jamie.
I know. Out of
The
all places,
literal desert.
it's hot out there. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
It's
But
hot.
this is where I found my real, like, spiritual mojo, right? Because in that moment, I didn't realize that she had also, separate from me, without telling me, without me knowing, she had also was like, I am fed up with whatever this is.
Yeah.
So she got rid of the sex, right? She went celibate. She, because she had 2 children prior to our marriage, which they're now my babies, right? But she had given up sex. She got back into her Bible, and all she did was work out, and get into her Bible, raise her babies.
Funny.
So separately,
funny.
Right? Separately, God is preparing us for each other. As soon as we start to behave like a husband should or a wife should,
then
that's
he brings you back together.
when we found each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it made me think often about the ideal of once you fall down and you ask God for what you truly want, God says, okay, I'm going to give it to you. He doesn't just hand it over. He's not going to just shake the money tree or drop a wife or a husband out the sky. No, first comes the desert.
Mm-hmm. Seriously. And you have to your wilderness experience.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. No, that's a beautiful story. Like that's a beautiful testimony all in itself. Because and then it still took you through steps of like the transformation to
different
really,
Job moments, right?
Different Job moments.
Yep.
So you just proved that factor to
I've lived it.
True.
The spiritual fractal is real. The Vanderbilt was a Job moment, right? Everybody on the outside telling me, a certain thing, right?
Yeah.
Georgia was a Job moment. Like, hey man, why don't you just go over here? Leaving the country is better off than dealing with what you're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Right? I got here, got married because I had in my mind, I've babysat kids. I know what to do with kids.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, was I wrong, right?
Yeah.
My children, rearing my children, another Job moment.
Different. Yeah.
Back injury. I had to have back surgery, another Job. Like, it's just continuous Job moments, day after day, which makes sense. Paul said to die daily.
And then, but the end goal is for you to have a renewed mind through Jesus Christ, right? And that's the end goal, is to understand that the void in every situation should be filled with Jesus and nobody else. That's the crazy part. Like nobody else. Not your wife, nobody. Because at the end of the day, they're gonna fail you. Because it shows in Job that they failed you, Like, I mean, he failed her in the moment that he needed her to pray for him and be there for him. He was like, "It's okay if you die, honey. I'm okay with it."
Just curse God and die. I'm tired of looking at you. Like, look, husbands everywhere will feel that. I am just tired of looking at you. This ended already, right?
This was actually very good, because I think what people don't realize is, and I think it's our fault. I was listening to a guy today, and he said that people buy into the illusion of your greatness, your byproduct, right? Like they when he say Solomon was wise, but what made him great was his riches. People wanted to hear what he had to say because he was rich.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so that formula is true across the board. So the reason why we listen to, rappers and singers or those people is because they got money, and obviously they got something worth listening to because they're able to get some money.
It's tangible.
It's
right?
tangible. But I think what you're trying to do with your platform is the same thing, is to show like we are comfortable people. We're not broke and we're not rich, but God has given us wisdom. It is valuable on how to live your regular day-to-day life, because if people are rich, you're never probably ever going to get there. But how can you live the life that you currently have with the purpose? And that purpose not be for you to be like the greatest thing, but be the greatest thing in the kingdom. You get what I'm saying? Be the greatest thing in the kingdom. That's it. That's it. And if God allows you the permission to steward over more money, you have the wisdom to know how not to let that money overpower you and fall like the rest of the people that we see falling right now. Because money and power does not bring you joy, happiness, and a peace of mind.
Right.
It puts you in rooms with people who don't have that. And eventually, the Bible says that evil communications corrupt good morals. Eventually, you may be corrupted.
That's the scientific belief of equilibrium, right?
Yes.
We talked about the dividing of the waters, like the fact that, all the waters haven't just been evened out and achieved equilibrium. Like all of our rivers should be to some degree salty, and our oceans shouldn't be as salty because it should flow because they're all connected. But somehow it doesn't.
It doesn't. Right.
But that equilibrium that you're talking about, either you convict people to be better, or they start to
convict you to be
condemn you to be worse, right? So
Well,
that's why when Christ is like, hey, go ahead and tell them the word, and they start saying, he don't know what he's talking about, man, you better move on.
Then move on, because after a while, over conversations, it will change your thinking, and you'll compromise, whether you realize it or not, because that's just our nature. Our nature is to make somebody else comfortable, but the word is not comfortable. There's nothing comfortable about serving Jesus. It's not. You know what I'm saying? And so because we want everybody to feel comfortable and we want them to come over to God, we water it down a little bit. But he never watered it down. He just made it into parables for them to try and understand. He never watered down his word. He made it into parables, and if they didn't get it, he moved on.
He literally says to them, some people are going to understand it, some people aren't. Right.
And it's not my job to convince you. My life, my life should tell you enough. And if my life doesn't inspire you to try my Jesus, then don't. He's gonna but God is not gonna give up on the person. He's gonna send somebody else, and he's gonna send somebody else. You get what I'm saying? And then one day he'll say, you know what? You want to be reprobate, and he'll allow you to be what you say you want to be.
Right. So you talk about our platforms and how we are attempting to utilize them, right? To serve God in the way that we seem to be apt to serve Him.
Right.
I think it's one, when you talk about people who say that the Bible is man-made and it's been translated over thousands of years, over and over. I love that your response to that is it's all inspired by God. Like they wrote what they were inspired by God. And what God does, the belief that we have, the faith that we have, is that he's not going to allow his word to be corrupted. He's
Right.
going to make it plain, and everybody has the opportunity, right?
Right.
Everybody, there will, at the end, when it's all said and done, nobody will have any valid excuse as to why they didn't get it.
Nobody.
Right.
And my brother used to be like, Jane, I wonder if before somebody gets in an accident, if they have that moment where they like their life flashes before their eyes and they possibly, can repent.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, that's a good question. Well, lo and behold, I had a moment like that. And I was driving and literally my entire life from beginning to end flashed before my eyes. And I just remember I could hear myself going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I need you like right now. And luckily, of course, here I am, right? But also in that moment, I think God was trying to show me that your whole life you've done for people.
Yeah.
And those people probably have let you down. But I'm going to show you today that I'm going to do for you because I don't let anybody down. Because really, if I tell you the story, it was so miraculous that there was only God that could have saved me in that moment. Does that make sense to you?
He loves doing that. Like all throughout the Bible, you'll see like, well, God, why do you want, like, we could do it this way, and no. I got to do it this way so they know.
It was so miraculous that when I pulled over, I was going to stay. But something in my spirit said, you need to leave because if you tell the story, they're going to think you're crazy.
Yeah.
And so crazy. I just flipped on out and went about my business. I probably needed to be there. But it was like, no ma'am, no sir.
Well, it is so funny. So when you talk about your approach, right? For me, I always try to stay in my own experience for one, right? And it can come off as very narcissistic, right? My kids like, oh, every time I do something, you talk about you because like I'm an expert on me, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm gonna stay in my own example.
Yeah.
Right. I'm the expert. I'm the leading global expert of Jeremy J. Zilla Gale Sr., right? So when I speak, that's the only thing that I feel comfortable speaking with authority next to the Bible, which is why I'm always trying to approach things with questions, right? In my own experience, have grace, right? And you need discernment, and you also need to approach things with questions. And it's funny, like I was writing this little stat over here in my little notes because Jamie be dropping those gems. I hope y'all were paying attention.
It's a Holy Ghost gems. You know what I mean? Like that.
But you talked about questioning things, questioning self, questioning the universe, and to some degree, both of us are. And I thought about, I literally just Googled it real quick. So apparently, Christ asked 307 questions during his time, right? 183 questions he was asked, and he gave 3 answers in the entire thing. Like, how powerful is that? You only gave me 3 answers compared to 307 questions you asked the crowds or the Pharisees or us,
right,
or his disciples.
Because they
I've tried to model the new way of doing my show, because at first it was very much like I'm just going to take everybody as they are. Come in, feel like you need to say bad words or say crazy things, right? Like we said on the show, like let's have it, but then I'm going to flip it and try to ask questions and dig a little deeper, and then see if we can find some something in that we can leave the pain behind and extract the wisdom, right? Therefore being better, therefore our spouses and significant others are better, our children are better, maybe our neighborhood, city, state, global if need be, right? I mean, you look at Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, they're floating around in space.
Yeah,
they're playing with space. So what are our limits actually? If you can see examples of people just, I mind this asteroid. Like, wait, what'd you just say? What do you mean mine an asteroid? What do you mean you found an asteroid full of lithium that actually helps with your batteries, which is going to make you even richer than you are, right? So for me, I try to approach things with questions. And I have found in my very limited experience that it is so disarming. Some people just freeze up and like, Well, I didn't think about that. I've had all kinds of debates. I was talking about to a flat earther, and I just literally broke down one time. I was like, okay, let's say the earth is flat. Now what?
Right.
And they literally they were so armed to the T with all kinds of knowledge, accurate or inaccurate, but they had all this knowledge. They were ready for the fight, but they never thought that someone would just honestly ask them what you think and then accept it.
Yeah.
Okay, now what does that mean for our lives?
Right. Like, how does that affect us? What are we supposed to do now?
What's the utility in now knowing, okay, let's say I agree with you, the earth is flat. Now, how can that knowledge benefit my life?
They didn't know what to do.
Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, so for me, that's my approach for everything.
Right.
I've had people on the podcast that have some very extreme thoughts and ideas of how things go. And when you approach it with questions, they kind of get back to like, oh, so I'm not in a position of being blessed because I'm not living right.
Right.
Dang.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's funny that you say that. And I didn't even think that was something that, so I have told that theory to other people to ask the question, but I didn't realize that that's really what Jesus did the whole time. He was like, which one of y'all can cast the first stone? Like who is here without sin? Right? Like who? And so it does disarm people. It does make them go, or I like to outline. My favorite thing would be like ask them a question and I'd be like, interesting. Okay. And then they're like, we're not gonna argue. No, I don't argue with you because I feel the way I feel and you feel the way you feel, and I respect that. But they're not used to that either. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so you're right. I think that that's a good method. My method is different. Like I'm just coming. I'm coming with the fire. I mean, and so
you're like the female Stephen A. Smith. You mean to tell me that you don't tell me about God? You got all this stuff going on in the background. No, sir. No.
I'm coming with the fire. And here's why, because I did that, and that's fine. I did what you did for a good minute. And then and I feel like I did that, and here's why. So this is good. This is a good conversation. I did that because when I first came out, on fire for the Lord, I came out the way that I am now, but I wasn't ready. Okay. And so people would attack me. Now this is before I had this platform called What's Your Truth Ministries. What's Your Truth? And I was a Sunday school teacher, and I would teach the truth. And because I had studied other religions, you feel me? Like I would really teach from that basis. I would teach my children all the religions, all the things that they say come or the Bible took from them or whatever. That way they can make an informed decision on whether or not they want to serve the true and living God. This was my method, okay? But online, I would make a statement, and then the fires of hell would come, and
I was there. I saw it.
Right? Yeah, they would come and set me ablaze, and I didn't know how to take that because remember I still had anger issues. You feel me? Like I hadn't made it, so I was gonna mess up my witness because one, I had this zeal, but I didn't have control over, myself. I wasn't discipled yet. I wasn't discipled. I was churchized, but I was not discipled. Okay, so now that I have went through my wilderness and my Job, and I've been discipled, and I am able to come out in this authority, I find that people don't even argue with me. Like they just go ahead and bypass me. They're like, I'm not even gonna argue with her because I don't even argue when we argue. When people argue with me, I just hit scripture. As you can see, I'm like, boom, boom, boom. I'm not gonna give you my opinion. I'm just gonna give you what the word says, right? Because you want to argue with God, so be it. But that's what you're gonna pick up this Bible and you're gonna argue with him to yourself while you're reading these scriptures, and maybe, just maybe,
oh my goodness,
it will hit you. You feel me? And so, but that's the method that I'm at now. Do you see what I'm saying? Which I love, because God knows I am like the great debater. I wanted to be an attorney really bad in my life, and you can tell. And so, like, since Satan is DA, I am over here the prosecuting attorney. I am with it. Do you
Right.
hear me?
Right.
And so I'm the for a matter of fact, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I am that person.
Right.
Which excites me because I finally get to be an attorney, but for a different reason. So,
Right.
that's it. That's
You
it.
mentioned something. You mentioned something earlier. Christ is telling his disciples, "Here's what's going to happen." Like the the gravity of, I'm telling you what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Me, Son of God, the Christ, right? Lord of Lord, King of Kings, all this stuff. Me, I'm telling you what's going to happen. And Peter said, "Oh, that's not going to happen. Get behind thee, Satan." Like in that moment, like because
Satan let them use.
one of my favorite verses is, "You can tell a tree by the fruit that it bears," right? And I've talked to my kids about this. Like, hey, if you see an apple hanging from a tree, what kind of tree do you think it is? Oh, it's an apple tree. What about this thing over here? Like, oh, that's an orange. Okay, and this one over here is pear. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Like, I love how he says, "Whoa, I can see exactly who you are in this moment.
In this moment.
I can
In
see
this
exactly who you
moment.
are, and I'm telling you with my authority, get behind me."
Right.
No, no, no,
And
no.
and he also said, you're going to deny me 3 times. Like, not only did he say get behind me, I'm about to tell you what you're about to do right now. You're talking all this mess about you got my back. And this is how you have to understand, if God gives you a clear understanding of what your role is, and somebody comes that you trust, that you've been around kicking it with, and tells you something other than that, in the moment, the enemy is utilizing that person to get you off your destiny. You get what I'm saying? But also, even when he's doing that, Jesus was given the wisdom to go, and you're going to betray me. So imagine this. Imagine it flipping. Imagine Jesus saying, okay, let's go against God. And I want to make sure that I don't do this, because mind you, Jesus didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. If he was crying so bad, he started sweating blood. He like, listen, God, please.
Teams of blood, yes.
We got all the authority. Why I gotta die? Like,
but can you imagine how comforting that is to somebody who is like all your life told, to be perfect, do this by God, do this by God, or even those who like you said before, who want to make themselves appear like this saint that was just born like a Cabbage Patch Kid. I just am, like, without telling their journey, because they believe the journey is going to be the thing that discounts the testimony.
The testimony. Yeah. You're right.
So imagine like seeing Christ say, "Please take this away from me. Like, I'll do if you tell me to, but I'm gonna ask all night long for you to pass this cup to somebody else."
And then get up, and I come out and I see my homeboys not even praying for me. Y'all not even praying for me. I didn't told you they gonna kill me, and you sleep. Wait a minute.
If you thought, so this is the spiritual battle, right? If you took seriously the spiritual battle like you would a real one, there is no way. If he would have told them, "Hey, someone's gonna come to try to assassinate me tonight," God told me, be on guard, I guarantee you they would have not slept, right? But this spiritual battle, I need y'all to pray for me, right? And I'm gonna go away for a little while, but keep praying. And he comes back and they knocked out. Why? Because it's like,
they didn't understand the significance. You know what I'm saying?
How many times in your life, Miss Moorhead, have you looked around and told people, "Man, I've got a daunting task to complete," and people were just like, "Yeah, okay, but can you watch my kid for like 30 minutes? Hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with them?" Like, oh my goodness, it's the same thing. You do not believe what I'm saying, because if you did, like, i.e., this crazy idea to run for president, right? If you really believe that I am tasked to do this, whether I've fail or win or whatever God has planned, like, there is no way you would ask me to be your virtual assistant.
Exactly.
There's no way you would say, "Hey, the research you're doing, stop it real quick because I need your help to take out some trash." So you wouldn't do it if you actually believe me, right?
But you don't believe
me.
That's
me. That's like, for me, that's God like showing me who is bearing what fruit and who can actually help and who's actually like, and not that there's anything wrong with it, just someone who's not supposed to be with me on my journey. Right now it's looking real lonely. Right?
It will not, and it will be very far in between. Like, on my journey, I didn't have anybody, and I'm like, when I don't know if you watched my like breakdown of my whole life, and I feel like God did that because people need to see it. Like I know, like I was a sacrificial lamb in that because I don't like telling nobody my business. So doing that was it really hurt my feelings. I was like, all these people in my business already, God, now I'm gonna tell them. You know what I'm saying? Like all of this happened to me. Like this looks crazy. You feel me? And then I'm a punk and I'm over here crying. You know, like I can't get out of bed. You know, for like a whole 2 weeks. But and I'm like, yeah, I water, yeah, because like only because that lady out of nowhere came. So mind you, I'm going through all this. She don't know. She doesn't know. That's why you, like, brothers and sisters in Christ, y'all gotta listen. If God puts somebody on your heart to reach out to them, just do it. Just do it because you don't know. She didn't know. Because I was still playing very good, like on social media. Like everything was pretty good. I'm still posting, I'm still working a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But I am dying. Okay. And I hadn't got out of bed at that time for like maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, okay? And at this point, you ever there's a Bible verse talking about the yoke that's on your shoulders. He's like, you know, if you give him the yoke, he'll bear that for you. I literally felt like there was something on my neck. Like if you ever like on my neck, on my shoulders, just weighing me completely down. I could barely move. And this lady out of nowhere messages me and goes, "Get up."
Wow.
And I was like, what are you talking about? Now I'm like, look, I'm in this comfort. I mean, I'm sad, I'm hurt, but I'm comfortable right here still, right? It's like, Jamie, get up. That's the second time. And then she sent me something. She's like, I was like, I'll listen to it. And then she said, I don't know why you're going through what you're going through, but you need to get up. Now you remember there's where Ezekiel talks to the dry bones. He speaks to them 3 times. Okay. And the third time the dry bones got up. And I swear it was just like that moment for me. That's why I say, like, the Bible, I can't nobody tell me God's not real, because even though those stories may not be to the T of what they are, I have experienced those type of events in my life that didn't make no sense. That lady she didn't know what was going on. The Holy Spirit said, message that girl, because if she wouldn't have, you know, like you said, where are people at? Where were they checking? Did anybody, if you tell them, nobody really, because I'm the strong person, right? You know, like she doesn't really be checked on. She's gonna be just fine. You know what I'm saying? She's gonna be just fine. And I wasn't. Listen, I was not.
Look, I hear that. And what I hear is, you know, Moses, you hear great prophet, all these things. But there is a point where he needed people to stand on either side of him and hold his arms up to win the battle.
Right. Yeah. You know, and so it's going to happen, but it has to be the right people, right? Because, you know, like you could be going through the moment and have the wrong people around you and they talk you out of the will. You know what I'm saying? Or you have this random person that sends you a video and says, this is your calling and you're not going to walk away from it. No matter how you feel today, you're going to get up. I feel like she wanted to say, get up. Excuse my language. Get up, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's what I feel. Get up.
I had to go old school just to shake something up for you.
But it's really, that's really what she had no clue. She had no clue, but she was so stern. It's like she was convinced that what she was saying was what I needed in that moment. And that's what it is. So it's lonely. It's lonely but God is going to always send a messenger, whether that be a person. Even sometimes he'll have somebody on the street talk to you.
Had that happen.
So where you're like, why are you in my business? They don't even know you. They don't know you. How you don't even get offended. He utilized that vessel for that moment because you needed to hear that. You get what I'm saying?
Have you seen They Clone Tyrone on Netflix?
Yes.
So me and my sister showed me this movie and I was just blown away. And we were both like most shocked and like curious about the bomb, right? He's just basically telling step by step everything that's happening
in the video.
Like, right. I literally, Jamie, have had somebody, because sometimes, you know, I do a lot of door dashing. That's my time to think, my time to pray. I use that as like talk to people, make my calls, whatever. That's a lot of my me time, right? And like whenever it was a slow moment, I would get out and just hang out with the homeless and like just chat them up, You know,
Mm-hmm.
how'd you get here? Like, if you had some certain opportunities, would you leave all this behind
I
or
love the
whatever?
homeless people, by the way. I just want to make sure you understand that.
We
Because,
got
like,
no reason to lie because, like, you see where I'm at.
yeah,
Like, I'm not gonna be out
yeah,
here stunting like I'm a millionaire and you know what it is. Like,
yeah,
there's some
I
of those,
love them. So,
man.
anyways, go ahead.
No, I hear you. I hear you. So I'm talking to him, and I remember one person, and out here in New Mexico, we have a problem with what they call beans, and I
Okay.
can't figure out if it's like, because I know clear is like oh shoot, Breaking Bad, meth, right?
Okay.
That's what they
Okay.
call clear. Beans, I think, is more it's in pill form. That's why they call them beans. They're very small, but it's the it's fentanyl basically.
Oh,
And you take
wow.
a piece of foil, you put it on top, and you burn this thing. And you just
Inhale
huff
it.
the fumes.
Really?
You just see them just like they do this thing where I call it the bean dance, right? That's what we call it here. Where literally they look like their bodies are saying like, "Whoa, bro, you need to lay down right now," and they
Yeah.
get real low, and then it just pop up, and like their body is fighting itself, right? We call it the bean dance. So there was a person who was going through the bean dance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they popped up and was like, because I'm talking to them about all kinds of stuff, my plans, and here's what I feel, and what do
Yeah.
y'all think, and like
Right.
just talking, right? And literally, this dude hopped out of his bean dance and say, "Man, you just doing too much, right? You know what you're supposed to do? Just do it, like, just do it." Like, was upset that I had all of this doubt and this hesitation. He's like,
Right.
"Just do it." Like, I was just like, "Wait, just
Reminds
do
me
what?"
of when God talked through the donkey. You remember that when he's like,
Yeah, that's
"Don't go."
that's a
Did
good
I tell you
example.
not to? Yeah.
That's a good
And so,
example.
and he was the bean dance. Some took over and was like, "If you don't just do what you're supposed to
Yeah, shut
do."
up. Is basically what he said. Shut up. You know what you're supposed to do. Just go do it. Like,
I love
shut
those
up.
moments.
Like, he was in his trance and like, I am so tired of hearing you talk about all these, but I want to do this, but I'm not sure how. And then how people gonna take this. And like, just told me off. And then went back to his bean dance, like back in his trance.
But I bet you that you heard it.
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
heard it, and it hurt your feelings because you over here high. How you gonna tell me anything?
It would
But
be so easy to say that, like, oh man, what are you talking about? But it's like,
no, when they you gotta
mhm,
listen. You gotta listen because actually, to me, homeless people, and I'm just being real, they're reprobate. So they're in between two worlds, and when they're
mhm,
high, they actually see the spiritual more than we can. That's
yeah,
why when you see somebody talking on the street, I've seen this one guy. He was talking to something in front of him, and he would turn to the right, and he would talk to something else, and then he would turn to the other side and talk to another thing. And I was like, oh, he got three different things, entities around him, and he's literally talking to these things. I was like, he's
yeah.
not. I think people think that they're crazy, but they're really not.
So not in their right mind, right? It sounds very demonic. It sounds so we put a term on it, schizophrenia, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
we can try to understand what's happening.
right. But they're
Mhm.
going through spiritual battle. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like they really are going through war. I had the honor of cutting hair for the homeless during winter last
yeah,
year. And this when you realize that they're demonized. This when you realize that these people are demonized. I walked in and the guy was like, "Oh, you are bright."
yeah.
So Liz was remind you, I was still kind of tampering with sin. So when I decided to take this job, I was like, "Hey, I ain't messing with you right now because I'm
Mhm.
not gonna go into the homeless realm wide open." You see what I'm saying? Because even I
Right.
know better, right? So I get in there. He's like, "You right." So then one guy starts to talk, and he had just got saved, and
Mhm.
he's like, "I got delivered." I was like, "Oh, you did?" But I said, "All of them are not gone." And then his voice changed, and he said, "Mind your business." Now, mind you, I'm now contending with the demon. You feel me? And I was like, I'm not gonna mind my business. I'm gonna finish his haircut, but not all of you are gone, and neither is he ready for you to be gone. And he's not, because if I would have went to war,
Mhm.
right, I would leave that vessel open for seven more stronger than that thing. When I say the man said, I just got delivered, I just got baptized, and I mean, and he's prophesying as he's talking. And I said, but
Right.
all of them are not gone. And that thing switched so quick, the voice changed and said, mind your business.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't really have a lot of words to say, right? They cut right to it,
I was
right?
like,
It's something about the spiritual world that's like I love Christ coming back and saying, look, all these questions. It comes down to this: love God above all else and love thy neighbor as thyself. Like
yeah,
on these two things hang the whole law, right? And
right,
then he breaks that down further in a different passage where it says, faith, hope, and depending on translation, charity and or love, right?
right,
On these three
right.
things. And the biggest thing is charity. And I'll
Yeah,
try to break that down with my scientific side of like, oh, if I believe and hope something, like that is going to guide my actions,
right,
which is the love or the charity part. That's the
right.
verb part of that stuff, right? It starts in the head and the heart, and then it comes out as actions.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about me in my worst moments, like, oh, if I tell this girl this, if I show her this,
Yes.
then she is going like. So I had in my heart, like, ooh, I hope to have sex with this strange woman, right? I have faith that if I do all these things and say all these things, that I can make it happen. And there I go acting it out,
Yeah.
and then then it happens, and it's like, okay, I see how that works either way.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
So
the man
like,
told me to mind my business.
mind your business. Yeah.
Mind your business, and rightfully so. And that's where you use wisdom, because I could have been puffed up in myself, like, yeah, I know how to cast out demons,
Like,
right?
I'm gonna tell you,
I'm
right?
gonna no. I was like, nah, I'm about to mind my business right now, in Jesus' name. I get it, because it's not time yet, and I think a lot of times we go for the kill with somebody, like, oh, just get out of this, just deliver this, just do this, and they get delivered a little bit, but we do not prep the vessel for the comeback, because he coming back, and I don't know how we got on this subject about that, but we're talking about the homeless, because because I feel like a lot of homeless people, and this is just in talking to them, they have been delivered and they were not prepped for the comeback.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so sometimes when they're used to talk to you, technically they're like a double agent, and there's the Holy Spirit somewhere in there, but he doesn't have control of the vessel.
Man, like, so if you ask someone, right, okay, you're living this life, how is it? Oh, okay, so like, let's say a person in a relationship, okay, the idea that I know that I'm in a committed relationship, it's going good. Like, it's a couple of things off, but I'm gonna ignore that because it's a net positive, right? That's a very dangerous thing. It's a net positive. He did 4 things bad, but then he did 5 things good. So okay, this is a good relationship, right? And then all of a sudden you find out that they're cheating or something, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like the rug has been pulled from under you. Some people it drives mad, right? But it's that unearned, it's that wisdom that's kind of given to you all at once in a flash. You start thinking back on like phone calls, and he's getting a text and you gotta step out real quick. Like then you see all that stuff. I feel like for the unhoused, like they're at a level of like, oh yeah, I know the deep dark secrets of the world, and it drove me crazy.
And it drove me crazy because
It's
it will.
wisdom, is unearned wisdom. Like I just know, and I wasn't prepared to handle it. So now I'm here, but now I'm free to tell you, sir, shut up and get to work.
Yes, and you did. Thank God for the homeless man. For real, but actually, thank God that you were willing to hear him, because you could have not heard him. And that's why I said, like, sometimes we have to be careful who we listen to, because we were like, well, he doesn't have anything. Who is he to tell me anything? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But instead, you could have missed that wisdom and that opportunity to do what God told you to do.
Right.
Do it.
Right.
Do it with nobody behind you, because he's behind you. Yeah. That's enough. Just do it.
Man. So like 3 years ago, when I was struck to even do this podcast and stuff, like I had, another Job moment that I've overcame before I realized the fractal part of it, right? I had my Job moment and thought, oh, this is it. And oh my goodness, how great does this feel? I need to get out and tell everybody, right? And people literally looking at me like, at one point, Jamie, I had earned the nickname Dirty. Yeah,
What?
Dirty. Dirty. A nickname, Dirty. Right? Like
Why?
when I tell you, Jamie, when I said all this stuff, like I'm done following the rules. They put all this stuff on me. Okay, I'm about to just do it. Like if they
Oh,
think
he's
I'm
out
doing it
here
anyway.
being dirty, but you was dirty. You was
Oh my goodness.
you exerting your
Oh my
dirty
goodness.
everywhere.
There was one point, and I'm gonna try to tell this story so you don't get like kicked off the platform and in a way where it doesn't seem like I'm bragging. Okay, you ready? Here's an example. All right. Matter of
Okay.
fact, I'll give you two examples. Okay.
Okay.
The first
Oh,
example, like the second example, is going to be in my book the worst example, even
okay.
though your
Okay.
audience may not agree with it, especially being
Right.
predominantly female, if I'm correct.
Well,
So,
I got a mix. Actually, it was so funny is I
oh,
have a mix. Men don't comment on my stuff because they don't want to argue with me, but they listen. Like, and I know because they'll inbox me something, and then like
ah,
I'm like, "Oh, you heard my stuff?" Like,
yeah, yeah. They come to you like I did. Like I have questions.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Jamie, I mean, you don't care about nobody's feelings, and
Oh my
I
goodness. Oh my
stop.
goodness. But like I'm telling you, that is so, and I don't mean this in a romantic way, but it's an attractive trait that a woman can have for a man. The idea that like put it out there, like you gotta realize us men, like we're built in a certain way, right? To where I can fight one of my best friends physically, and then
Mm-hmm.
we can go go hang out afterwards,
Right,
right?
right, 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 right.
So how does one who 18 years didn't curse, didn't smoke, didn't drink, I'm a virgin, nothing, right?
Right.
Nothing. Now I didn't lose because I didn't even lose my virginity or try my first drink till my second year in college. After I went back and was like,
Wow.
I'm doing whatever the frap I
Your
want
story
to.
sounds like somebody I know. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's a moment. So I'm at a party, right? At this point, I'm working at Nissan. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Murfreesboro. I'm supposed to meet somebody way up in north of Nashville, right? So before I do that, my plan was I'm gonna go to this party, get a couple hours of sleep, go to work, then drive and meet them, right?
Right.
So I go to the party and go too hard at the party, right? I
Mm-hmm.
had the nerve to get in my car and I was headed to work. I mean, this is early in the morning because the shift
Right.
that I work, right? And I'm sitting here, got my tunes up, and I got the windows down because I've been drinking and drugging,
Yeah,
right? All
and
kinds of stuff,
dragging.
right? And driving, awful. Again, I'm gonna try to tell this where it don't look like I'm bragging about it.
Okay.
So here's me. I remember it clearly. Like I'm just bopping, going down the road, and then next thing you know, I'm waking up. Like you gotta understand how scared I was. Well, should have been, I should say, right? I should have been scared. But I remember driving, and then next thing you know, I'm in an empty parking lot. My car is smoking. I'm like, what's all this about? Literally.
So
And I
what
get out, I look at my
happened?
car, my back tires are bent in like this. And I'm looking at the skid marks and like, oh, I fell asleep and went over this curve over here. And the car just happened to stop right here, several feet away from a cliff. Right? Right then, it should have been like, okay, Lord, I hear you. But I was just like, okay, cool. Right? I literally called people to come tow my truck. I took a cab all the way to Nashville. I called in to work, like, hey, I got in a car accident. I'm not gonna be able to come in. They were like, okay, hope you're okay. I was like, yep, I'm fine. Right? So I literally take that ride and I go to Nashville and I get this urge to like, oh, I want to go watch a movie. So I went to a movie theater by myself. I snuck like a couple of beers in, right? Still drinking, still already drunk and high. Got me a couple more beers, went to a movie, had a good time by myself. Uh-oh. So as I'm doing this, I'm gonna keep talking because I'm not sure what's happening behind the scenes there. But as I'm doing this, I literally, as I'm in the theater by myself, I get a phone call like, "Hey, where are you?" All right, I'm supposed to meet my friends. So I tell them I'm watching the movie, and they're like, "By yourself?" Right? So I do that, and then I go all the way after the movie. I finish my trip. I go to my friend's house. We are doing some more smoking, more drinking, and I am all the way out of it. Okay. Then we go to the club. All right, as I wait for Jamie to return. Then we go to the club. Then at the club, more drinking.
Okay, I'm back.
Right? Yeah, I was filibustering over there, right? Welcome back.
Yes,
Uh-oh.
like my internet went completely down, and I feel like it's because you were telling, like something that people need to hear, and that you know how that goes, right? So go ahead, I got you. We're good.
Oh my
We're
goodness.
good.
So
I
I'm
like
at
how
the
you
theater.
kept going though. That's dope. I just want to
I've
give you
been
a
there.
shout out to
I've
that.
been
That's
there.
like
Don't worry.
you had to been in like you had to been in sports or theater or something to know. Keep going
Yeah,
so I come
yeah.
back.
In the theater by myself, drinking, get a phone call, take the phone call in the theater, right? And
Right.
they were like, my friends were like, hey, where are you? That's right, I'm supposed to be my friends. Okay, so I'll tell them where I'm at. They're shocked that I'm watching a movie by myself because who does that?
Right,
I'm like, me. I felt like a movie, so I went to a movie. What's the big deal? Anyway, I leave, go to my friend's house. We do more smoking, more drinking, right?
You were really bad.
Then we go to the club,
Right.
more drinking, right? At some point, I had met. I mean, I didn't remember anybody at that point, but at some point, I had met someone that I used to have a past with, and her now boyfriend, right? For whatever reason, I mean, I don't know what possessed this girl to do this, but she grabs my hand and starts leading me somewhere. And I'm drunk and high from the night before still.
Right,
Okay?
still.
I'm still compounding. And she takes me in the bathroom and we do very adult things. I don't know your audience here.
You nasty.
Oh, when I tell you, like, people were because first of all, rookie mistake, went to the girls' bathroom, giant line. We walk past all of them. Perfect time, and somebody comes out the stall. We go in the stall, lock the door behind us. People are yelling, cursing at us. They're throwing drinks over the thing, and we're just doing our thing. We don't care, right? And literally, like, people are taking film, and it was awful, Jamie. And then next thing you know, I hear, like, what the bleep, blah, blah, blah. So her boyfriend, because it's circulating around the club,
you are in there doing
girlfriend
yeah,
with this random dude in the bathroom, bro. Yeah. So that happens, and we ended up still leaving together. He's still yelling at her, and for whatever reason, yelling at my other friend. Left with them because I took a cab.
You're that jacked up.
So I'm sitting in the back seat.
You had no moral values. You had you didn't even care about your own life.
None. Okay, so I'm glad you said that because we're gonna get into how like suicidal that kind of mind frame was, right?
Yeah.
Not in the traditional way, I'm gonna hang myself or shoot myself, but like I don't care if I die. Like I'm just gonna go with the flow.
Yeah.
Like wherever the universe wants to take me, I'm going, right? So literally, it's 5 of us in the car. There's a young lady in the front seat. There's a guy who's driving, and in the back seat is me, this girl, and her boyfriend, right? And so as
that was yelling at you,
no, he didn't say anything to me. I don't know if you know this, Jamie. I'm about 6'4", 350 now. Back then, I was like 6'4", 290 all muscle.
You got in the car.
Yeah. Who's thinking
Where's
at this
the dude
point?
that found out that she was being nasty with a girl?
It took me a while to even put 2 and 2 together of like, oh, he's talking about me. I'm the one that did this with his girlfriend. That's how far gone.
You didn't even realize that you did it. You was just doing it.
I was just there. I'm riding. I'm just sitting here like
very demonized for
oh my goodness. When I tell you, like, it's like I was watching myself, like I was watching a movie.
This is crazy.
Then, like,
this
not
is good.
realizing,
this is good.
Not realizing that he is yelling and upset about me and my girl and his girlfriend. And I'm just sitting here like, man, that's crazy. Like, that's messed up.
Who would
like,
do something?
Who would do such a thing? Me. So we get to her house, which is where everybody met up, right? And he's arguing with the driver at this point. I'm not even sure why. And while that happens, we continue in the kitchen. Yeah. And literally, my friend who was driving.
I thought you was asking yourself that who would do that, and then you do it. I don't understand what's going on here.
I didn't either. So we continue in the kitchen. And luckily, my friend walks in. He was like, are you serious? Like, because he's now upset. Like, what is wrong with you? And so in my mind, it was like, oh, right. Oh, this is inappropriate in the kitchen. Oh, so we go to the bedroom. I'm still not understanding like what he's upset and talking about. So we continue in there, and at this point, it gets kind of quiet out there. We're doing our thing, and he burst, like, you can hear like someone trying to open the door. Someone's beating on the door now. I'm like, why would anybody, like, I'm obviously busy here. Like, what is this person's problem? Right? He kicks in the door and sees us and starts like yelling again. Doesn't really approach me. The boyfriend. Yeah. And so I leave, and the next day, when I tell you, I woke up and my friend and the other girl we were with, we were at her apartment at this point. They were both looking at me like, bro, what is wrong with you? And Jamie, when I tell you, like, my friend looked at me with like disgust. Like, this is a look I've never seen from him. Right?
Did it
Funny story. This is the same guy I called outside of Atlanta, Georgia, to like, I don't know what's going on with me. I need to change. He was like, come on. Right?
Yeah.
Literally is looking at me with disgust. Right? I'm gonna say his name, matter of fact. Shout out to Sadiq Ziad. He was raised Muslim. Yeah. He gave his life to Christ one afternoon.
Wow, he did? That's a hard transition.
Yeah, but this was after all this stuff, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but he said he had the Holy Spirit beforehand. That's why he looked at you like that.
Yeah. Like, so, like, literally looked at me, him and the girl was, like, hysterically laughing, like, he doesn't even know. He has no idea. Like, she was just like, my mind is blown. I have never seen this live in person before. And so as they're telling me about myself, I'm like, get out of here. Like, whatever. Like, I'm not that person. I would never. Right. But I've known this guy to be truthful and never to lie. Right. He's always been a straight up dude. So then I start to feel bad about myself.
Yeah.
Right. And so I literally pick up the phone and call her and ask to speak to the boyfriend so I can apologize.
Oh.
And he let me have it. And I just
said to like, that it was the truth. Like, you were like, oh, I really did do that.
You know what? You're right. I just took it. But this is still a side of me of like, I don't want to be this. I'm not even sure why I'm doing this. And like, man, I am so sorry that it's not me. Like, what you mean it's not you? Of course it is you. I see, like, you
did it multiple times.
Right.
You did it. So
when I tell you the story, that particular story ended with me feeling really bad and saying like, oh man, like,
you still had conviction though. You still had the Holy Spirit. So, like he still.
But here's how the story ends, right? The girl looks at me and goes, and she's like pointing. I was like, what? I am still from the night before. Okay. The young lady had to remove her undergarments. Me being a gentleman, I didn't want you to just put them on the floor because you're going to need to put these back on.
Your neck.
Around my neck, like a necklace. and like, my friend was just like, oh my, like, I don't know what to do with that, right? So that's the physical side. Here's another side. Here's story number 2. It's very short. Got into an argument with a guy, tried to prove a point. I changed the girl, like he was saying, like, I was like, yeah, this girl will definitely talk to me. And the guy was like, yeah, right, no way. So I changed her name. I changed my own number for her name, right? And began to text myself like her to prove that she would, right? And he looked at me and was like,
right now.
He was like, bro, he said, is this your number? You texted yourself. And I was just like, I remember distinctly laughing like, yeah, you're right, you got me. But I'm just trying to prove a point, right? That part to me felt grosser to me, like when I look back, than the act with the young lady.
Because you were willing to lie, like you were lying, like
all I cared about was being right. All I cared about was looking a certain way. Like didn't care about my dress or anything like that.